Okay, let's be real for a second. How many videos on how to stop procrastination have you been watching in the last 7 days? I understand your patience is running out, so I guarantee this will be the last one you'll ever have to watch. You can also refer back to it whenever you want to, or share it with a close one who also needs it too. Why should you listen to me? Because I'm going to explain exactly how procrastination works as a science of your body and how you can use science to reverse it. You'll eventually get over it and start living your life with drive and passion again. And I'm also going to give you a step-by-step roadmap of how you can start from the smallest steps, like cleaning your room, to the ultimate milestone of quitting procrastination for good. I promise you'll never feel confused about what to do next whenever you find yourself tempted to procrastinate again. That's my ultimate goal for this video. Alright, so the first thing you should understand about procrastination as a science is that it is a stress response mechanism in the human brain. It's simple to slip into the trap of believing that I just don't care enough about this task, or I'm procrastinating because I'm lazy. However, I'm here to inform you that's often not the case at all. Joseph Ferrari, a pioneer professor of psychology and procrastination at DePaul University, has found by his work that only as many as 20% of people may be chronic procrastinators. So what happens if you're part of the opposite 80%? Think of procrastination as your brain trying to protect you, but in a totally misguided way, because our brains are still heavily wired for survival like back in prehistoric times. Staying safe then meant sticking to the known. Venturing out could mean danger. Even though we're not dodging saber-toothed tigers anymore, our brains still prefer that feeling of comfort, leading us to avoid tasks that feel scary or overwhelming. Alright, here's the good news you've been waiting for. Procrastination as a stress response is mostly a habit, not who you are. You can change your habits. It won't be easy, but the more you resist that automatic urge to distract yourself, the more you retrain your brain. Think of it like breaking out of your usual route home. Maybe some route you've never taken before. It feels awkward at first, but with repetition, that new path will become second nature. That was the first thing about the science of procrastination. Now, the second thing you need to understand about procrastination as a science is that it has a lot to do with your dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical in our brains that is well known as the reward chemical. The thing is, our brains want those rewards fast and easy. Our human brains naturally crave quick dopamine hits all the time, which is why watching YouTube videos or scrolling endlessly on TikTok can be so addicting, because they're quick and simple. But there's a problem with these quick dopamine hits. The steeper the spike, the bigger the crash afterwards. This is where procrastination gets tricky. Each time you choose those dopamine-spiking distractions, you set yourself up for a dopamine deficit later on. Basically, your brain will run out of the feel-good chemical. Now, not only do you still have that looming task, but you're also starting from a low point of motivation. It's like trying to run uphill when your legs were already sprinting for miles. While there are various approaches to this problem, what's the best, effective solution after all? It's cliche, I know, but you have to learn to embrace a bit of temporary discomfort. Here's the catch of procrastination. It is basically choosing those instant dopamine fixes over the harder, but ultimately more rewarding stuff. So instead of chasing distractions, pick one thing, even a small thing, on your to-do list and get it done. That completed task delivers its own healthy dopamine reward, fueling you to tackle the next thing. When you finally learned how to replace the old, quick dopamine hits with the healthy ones, you've mastered controlling procrastination. Congratulations! If you've made it here, you've learned about the two fundamental sciences of procrastination, which should be a strong tool in your Fight Procrastination toolkit. Now, here's where the fun part officially begins. The Zero to Hero roadmap of ditching procrastination once and for all. Let's start with where it all begins first, your mindset. With all the fancy science and external advantages we have today, still, every great transformation starts with a shift in your mindset. Let me tell you my story. I used to hate starting essays. The thought of a blank page was the worst. But then I discovered the terrible first draft method. Instead of expecting perfection, I just dumped my thoughts onto the page. Sure, it was messy, but it got me started. And you know what? Editing a bad draft is always easier than staring at a blank screen. That moment was exactly when I realized the climb only begins when you shift your mindset from "this is impossible" to "I can take the first step." There's a huge difference between being paralyzed by a challenge and feeling empowered to tackle it. That's the power of a winner mindset, and I like to call it the just do it mindset. The just do it mindset isn't about denying those doubts or expecting immediate perfection. It's about acknowledging the challenge but focusing on taking that first step, however small. Studies have shown that the initial hurdle of starting is often the hardest part. Once you force yourself to begin, a phenomenon known as cognitive fluency kicks in, making the task feel less intimidating with each step. This mindset builds resilience. There will still be setbacks, but the just do it mindset fuels your determination to pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Alright, so we've talked about mindset, but sometimes even that's not enough. Here's a surprising factor that can actually be hindering your productivity: your physical and digital environments. Believe it or not, they secretly play a huge role in your procrastination battles. Think of it this way: can you focus when your desk looks like a disaster zone and your phone's buzzing non-stop? Probably not. Not to mention how much worse it can be if your room is also messy with clothes, snacks, and bottles everywhere from the floor to bed. All that clutter translates directly into mental clutter. Here's where you can take back control. Instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, start small. Set a timer for 5 minutes and choose one area to declutter. It could be tidying a physical space, like your desk, or tackling a digital one, like deleting unnecessary apps or streamlining your inbox. These little actions might seem insignificant, but they make a surprising difference. Each time you bring a bit more order to your surroundings, you're training your brain to focus and feel in control. That translates to increased motivation and makes it easier to resist those procrastination temptations. That being said, those giant projects are still daunting, right? The key lies in breaking those overwhelming tasks into smaller, way less scary steps. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Looking straight up at the peak is enough to make you want to give up before you've taken a single step. Instead, focus on just reaching the next visible ledge, then the next. Before you know it, you'll be surprised at how far you've climbed. Instead of focusing on the whole overwhelming project, try asking yourself, what's the very next small step I can take? Need to write an essay? Don't start with write an essay. Try do 30 minutes of research, or create an outline. Can't face cleaning the whole house? Start with spend 10 minutes clearing the kitchen counters. Here's a bonus tip. Sometimes, the most difficult part is just getting started. Tell yourself you'll work on the task for just 5 minutes, no pressure. Chances are, once you break the initial resistance and see that it's not so bad, you'll naturally want to keep going for much longer. Breaking things down not only makes tasks feel more manageable, but it also helps combat our perfectionist tendencies. When the goal is to finish the whole project in one go, the stakes seem too high. But focusing on a small step reduces that pressure, allowing you to make progress instead of feeling paralyzed by the weight of perfection. Subscribe for more life-changing content.